So welcome all, welcome to this webinar. This webinar is organized by the Alternative Water Resources for Climate Cluster, or as we call it here, AWR for Climate. So you'll see the AWR mention come quite frequently. It stands for Alternative Water Resources. And we are very, very pleased to have this webinar and to welcome you all to present what we do in our project. So I am Thelma, I am today's moderator, and I will just shortly present to you the agenda of today. So I will do a very short introduction during the last minute. And then I will leave the floor to our project coordinator and project partner, Sadika Bernard, Digou Arochami, and Noureddine Bouzidi, to present Award, Recreate, and MARCLAIMED projects, which are part of this cluster. And then we will have, for each of the speakers, 15 minutes intervention on how they are building trust around the alternative water resources by co-designing process within the demo cases for MARCLAIMED project, serious gaming to facilitate stakeholder dialogue and joint AWR strategy development for Recreate, and integrating AWR in the governance process through political dialogue for award project. Just to quickly present our cluster, the AWR for Climate cluster brings together these three projects, Award, Recreate, and MARCLAIMED. They are Horizon Europe project funded under the same grant with the same intention, working on the integration of alternative water resources into climate resilient water management systems. We have a shared objective of accelerating the uptake of AWR through collaboration, knowledge exchange, and joint action. This stands for all the actions we do together, for instance, this webinar, but also jointly writing policy brief or jointly participating into the submission of scientific papers. So that's it for the introduction of the cluster. And now I will leave the floor to Sadika Bernard for the presentation of award projects.
Thank you, Thelma. I will share my screen. Share it, good?
Perfect. Perfect.
Okay, thank you, Thelma, again. So good morning, everyone. I'm Sadika Bernard from the International Office for Water, and I'm coordinating the award project. I'm very pleased to be here with you today and to give you a short overview of the project. So the central dilemma of this story comes down to one question. Can we trust alternative water resources? Across Europe, climate pressure on water is rising. Some regions face drought, others face intense rainfall and flooding, and often happen within the same year. So the question is no longer only where do we find more water? It's also how do we use the water around us differently, safely, and more collectively, right? So this is exactly where alternative water resources come in. Rainwater, stormwater, reclaimed water, and aquifer recharge. And these resources can complement conventional water supply and help territories become more resilient. And here is exactly the key point. The technology often already exists. We have sensors, models, treatment system, and digital tools, but technology alone does not create acceptance. If people don't understand the solution, if they don't trust the process, or if they don't know who is responsible, even the best system can remain unused. And this is exactly the gap awards work on. So in one sentence, the objective of the project is to enhance water management by integrating affordable, acceptable, and reliable alternative water resources into strategic planning. The project brings together 16 partners across 7 European countries, working for 36 months until the end of this year. We test and monitor solutions in 4 demonstration cases in 4 European territories. And our mission has 6 clear objectives. We are not just building a knowledge base, we are raising awareness and creating a community of practice. Think of this as a team. We need everyone together, scientists, authorities, decision makers, utility, and citizens. And we are testing this solution in real territories to prove they are viable and trusted and to support the decision and leave a framework that others can reuse. So our 4 demonstration case sit in Romania, Italy, Spain, and Cyprus. 4 different territories and 1 shared goal, integrating these alternative water resources into local water supply planning. Here, very briefly, we will show you the 4 demonstration case in Bucharest. The challenge is the decline of groundwater level and the progressive loss of urban water balance around Circus Lake. We look at how urban stormwater treated with a nature-based solution can help support aquifer recharge and lake level control. In Milan, the challenge is different. Flash flooding, urban heat, and impermeable soils. And here we focus on sustainable urban drainage and sponge city approach. And in Cyprus, the key issue is water scarcity and strong seasonal demand. So the project works on high quality reclaimed water for irrigation. And finally, in Santiago de Compostela, treated rainwater and nature-based solutions are tested in an industrial context to reduce water stress and support local reuse. And here is the core of award. On one side, you can see we have physical reality, technologies, data, monitoring, and field evidence. And on the other side, we have the social reality, perception, concerns, habits, local priorities, and trust. And we work on the bridge between the two. We do this through interviews, workshops, transversal interest groups, and local water fora, and joint scenario building. The idea is simple. We create space where different stakeholders come together and look at the same evidence, discuss scenarios, and understand together what each solution means in their territories. And because the project ends and we are leaving a legacy toolbox, an ebook to share the project journey and collective European experience, a handbook to support the transfer and upscaling of this solution in other territories, a digital platform to help a planner explore future water scenarios together, and policy recommendation to support the integration of alternative water resources in governance and planning framework. Our goal is clear. The next region will build on our legacy and not start from scratch. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this, Sadika. And we will now leave the floor to Digu, project coordinator for Recreate, to present his project.
Thank you, Elma, and thank you also for Sadika for the presentation of award. Let me share my screen. So, good morning, everyone. Pleasure to be here, and thank you for your interest in our cluster. And and I'm going to briefly present the project Recreate. I'm very happy proud to be part of the team as coordination team, and we are coordinating it from URECAD, and I'm today also joined by other colleagues from the project. And so Recreate is a 4-year project. So we are now in the 3rd year of the project, and again with the same objectives about promoting the reliability and also effectiveness of alternative water resources in the regional water management strategies, We have 11 partners from 5 EU countries, and currently we are in the third year of the project. And compared to the other 2 projects in the cluster, so we will finish the project at the end of 2027. And in terms of the what we are developing, I'll directly jump into the objectives of the project in terms of the key technical objectives. So one is we are developing the key evidence base in terms of what is the existing knowledge on alternative water performance, what is working, what doesn't work. For example, in terms of is cost an issue? Is what are the risks and regulation and aspects, and also like the drivers that is there with respect to the use of alternative water sources across Europe. And then we're also looking at what are the existing technologies and strategies to improve alternative water sources, reliability and safety and efficiency and cost effectiveness. And one of the key technical result is it's a digital decision support tool that we are developing for decision makers, and I will talk about it later. I also explain about the tool, and all of this we are developing in the framework of 4 case studies that are spread across 3 main regions of Europe. So in the southern in the Mediterranean, so we have 2 use cases case studies. One is the one in Costa Brava in Spain, and also in Syros in Greece, in an island close to in the Aegean islands. And then we have in the north of Europe, we have 2 case studies, one in North Holland in the Netherlands, and we also have an industrial case study in Kalundborg in Denmark. And at the end of the project, we are also hoping that through our activities that we enable is also that we will develop these water resilience packages. So for each of the case studies, regions suited for their needs and their future socioeconomic development scenarios, and also climate scenarios. That's also an important aspect about how climate change will impact water availability in these regions. So we are looking at different alternative water sources that are best suitable for them. And then we also looking at trust and acceptance through setting up these communities of practice and to increase confidence in potable and non-potable use in each of the case studies that we are working with. And then we are also developing these tools and recommendations that can be used for authorities and utilities and decision makers. And I'll quickly go through the case studies. So the first one is about is in North Holland in the Netherlands, where, as you can know, that the Netherlands considering the geographical nature of the Netherlands, so and also the future projections of population growth, they do have a problem of freshwater availability. And also with the rising sea levels and with the issue of salinization of their groundwater aquifers. So they are looking at developing a system dynamics model for regional water systems and looking at what are the alternative water sources that can be considered. And then they're also developing a custom serious game for engagement with stakeholders. So we'll talk about it later. My colleague from KWR, Klasten, will present about the serious game. In the second case study in Kalundborg, it's an industrial case study. Again, they have a lot of demand for water, especially in the Denmark case because of the biotech industry, which is booming in there. But also it creates a lot of demand for fresh water, and they have a challenge of meeting this freshwater demand. So through the project, we are looking at how we are looking at an integrated water management strategy for long-term sustainable water supply for their industrial growth. And then in Syros Island, it is a very touristic island, as you know, in many of the Greek islands, and also in all the Mediterranean islands in general. There is a big increase in freshwater demand, especially in summer months. And that's exactly the time when there is the least amount of water availability. So there is also this regional seasonal fluctuations of freshwater demand. So here we are through the project we are supporting the water utility there in the installation of a secondary piping network for reclaimed wastewater, and then also looking at managed aquifer recharge options to improve the groundwater availability and also quality for agricultural use. So and then also look at how the in terms of what other alternative water sources they can be planned for in the island. And then in Costa Brava in Spain, in Catalonia. So here again also there is the regional seasonal fluctuations of water demand is also because of the tourism sector, especially in the summer months. So we are also looking at the use of reclaimed water for also for sensitive uses, for example, indirect potable use through aquifer recharge is something that we are also looking at here. We are working with the local stakeholders as well in Costa Brava. Then quickly we are still developing the decision support tool, and we have working on. So the idea here is that the tool will help to plan and also to protect and build trust, protect the natural resources, but also to build trust and the awareness and trust in the stakeholder confidence in the alternative water sources. And so the idea here is that we can look at both short-term as well as long-term management of water sources. So the tool will have different functionalities for different types of stakeholders to plan their short-term and long-term water needs in the future. So I will stop here for now, and I will probably we can discuss about later about the project activities and the later questions. Thank you. Thanks everyone.
Thank you very much, Diego. Noadine, if you want to take the floor to present MARCLAIMED project.
Yeah, thank you, Telma. Thank you, Diego, for the presentation.
And in the meantime, I just send a message in the chat. Please feel free to use it to ask questions you may have throughout the webinar.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Nordin Bouzidi from MDA Water. We are a partner in MARCLAIMED project, which is one of the 3 sister projects in our cluster. I will be presenting overview of the project on behalf of Sara Espinosa, the coordinator of the project, that she couldn't join today's meeting, but we'll go through the whole information. So actually the main objective of MARCLAIMED is to integrate managed aquifer recharge with alternative water resources. So you see, like in this project, we are using alternative water resources in the managing aquifer recharge, and we try to integrate that in the river basin drought management plans, making it like through structure measure to provide system with the adaptive capacity and resilience against climate change. The project itself has 3 pillars, which are the operational efficiency, that include developing tools about water quality, water resources availability, and forecasting. The second pillar, which is the economic sustainability, and that include the water footprint, the economic value of alternative water resources, and the water security that could be provided by them, and also how we can design suitable cost recovery systems for tariffs. The third pillar, and it's the one that connected the first 2 ones, it's the social perception and the regulatory framework. So we don't focus only on the technical part, but we go also for the social perspective. We target social acceptance from the community of practice or the stakeholders in our project, and then we translate that to regulatory framework based on their recommendation, based on what they identify as barriers, as solution, and as a pathway. The project itself includes 12 partners within 5 countries. We have started in February 2024, and now we are about on 6 months about finishing the project that will end in January 27. As I was describing, the project includes 2 parts, which is the technical part, where we are developing a set of tools. We develop 6 tools here that 3 of them are operational. MARVIST for real-time quality control, PREDMAR for forecasting water availability, and MARLIZER for short and medium long-term design for operational system. The other three tools are Oasis Flow, MarInsure, and Recover, and are included in the set of economic sustainability, where we try to target to understand and assess the economic feasibility of MAR with alternative water resources. All this is translated after that to the stakeholders through social actions when we are trying to engage the community of practice in the co-design and the co-development. That will be the topic of the second presentation, where we are going through it in details. Where we are applying this solution is in 3 case studies. In the Llobregat in Spain is a Mediterranean case study, in Comporta in Portugal, and in the Texel Island in Netherlands. Each case study has a specific characterization, different alternative water resources application, and different objectives. If we go briefly about the differences between the 3 case studies, so for example, in the Llobregat, the award that it's used there is reclaimed water through infiltration ponds, plus surface and reclaimed water through deep injection. The challenges there are the groundwater availability, the dependence of transfer from the Tar River, and the expected impact is to support the water resource management strategy in the demo site. In the second demo site, which is Comporta in Portugal, the solution there that is used is the treated wastewater, which is through infiltration basins. And it has different challenges which are depend on the groundwater quality, the infiltration rate and quality, and also the stakeholders and social and policy acceptance. While in the third case study represents a different perspective, where the alternative water resources are treated agricultural drainage water through an infiltration system, and also has similar challenges like groundwater quality, assessing the cost effectiveness and maintenance of the technology, and the reliability and the acceptance of MAR with the drainage water in the agriculture and water sector, which are the main stakeholders in that demo site. If we go through the work packages that are included in MARCLAIMED, we jump from the operational and efficiency and economic sustainability, which is the work package 1, where we are developing the 6 tools, to the co-creation of alternative water strategies, which is developed with the stakeholders. And right now, we are in the 30 months of the project. We have the 6 tools that are now fully developed, and we managed to test them with the stakeholders. And they are integrated in an IDST, which is an integrated decision support tool. We celebrated 7 workshops till April, and we have others that they are ongoing, and we are going to tell the story about these workshops and what are the outcomes of them in the next presentation. And we have the first market and competitor analysis performed. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Noedine. And you can actually keep the floor because you will now present co-design processes with the demo case, which you just teased.
Okay, so as I was telling, in MARCLAIMED, we do not focus only on the technical part, but also how we engage the community of practice and the stakeholders in the co-design, the co-development. We want them to tell us what is actually the problem that they are facing, how we can define solutions, and how we can implement these solutions. So actually, if we see like almost all the time when we are talking about alternative water resources or managed aquifer recharge, we have a technical goal. And it's like, for example, build the climate resilience and ensure sustainable growth and combat extreme drought. And from a technical perspective, we can say that this is feasible and we can achieve it. Then, but actually in reality, we face the social fabric. So how people are perceiving this solution. What do they think about it? And in reality, we face the technical reality. That's first, we have the advanced infrastructure, we can have the infiltration ponds, we have the the system. But the whole technology cannot operate without regulatory approval and societal validation. And we have the social imperative, that's the public perception of reclaimed water that usually involves fear of health risk and emerging contaminants. People usually, they don't know exactly how the water is treated and they have different perceived. So our strategic solution was to establish a community of practice. This community of practice is the network around the project, the stakeholders, who is involved, who is going to benefit from it, who is the first one that can analyze the risk and understand the problem and understand the solution. And that's to organize a safe collaboration that translates complex modeling, which is the tools that we are using within the MARCLAIMED project, and source long-term social acceptance. What we want to build is the trust with the stakeholders, not only an immediate improve that may not last. As I was talking about the 3 demo sites that we have in MARCLAIMED, and to not repeat the challenges and which kind of technology that we are using, in the 3 demo sites, we have the actions to be taken are built on the social acceptance. So, for example, in UbN, we target social acceptance, reliability, and trust to promote SMAR with alternative resources. In Comporta, improve social and policy acceptance. And in Texel, also promote farmers' engagement to MAR. How we are dealing with that? The co-creation process has been built on 3 phases. The first phase is the context and the context and the relational competence. So we started before approaching the stakeholders. We try to understand the demo site. We define the demo site context, define the objectives that the demo sites want to achieve, and then execute stakeholders mapping. So we need to understand who are the main actors in each demo site. So they could public entities and users, researchers, water utilities, and that is different from one case to another. The second step is the knowledge sharing. So before inviting the stakeholders, we were working on defining the rules of engagement and communication channels. We were establishing a safe environment for the stakeholders to share their opinions. And we started from the beginning of the project by establishing this community of practice by each demo site, where we are presenting what are the aim of the project, what do we want from the stakeholders, how they can help in the development of the tools and development of the strategies. And within that, we were organizing this community of practice through workshops and also through interviews, where we develop a shared knowledge space. And of course, with all of this, we need to ensure of gender balance and fair engagement for all the stakeholders. So everyone has a say and everyone can share its opinion. The third step was the final co-creation, where we are with them, we identify what they see as opportunities, as risk, barriers, and strategies. We engage them in the development of the MARCLAIMED tools, considering what they think it's important for them in managing aquifer recharge, and then in the co-evaluation of the tools. And then we were working on IDST train for knowledge share and capacity building, where they can generate scenarios, use the tools by themselves without relying always on the help of the tool developers. So if we go, for example, the outcomes of this community of practice, we were like seeing what they think as risk and barriers about alternative water resources. And their perspective, for example, in the case of Llobregat, was about aquifer contamination, lower quality of reclaimed water, indicacy of current regulation, insufficient social acceptance of reclaimed water, prolonged term and high cost for permitting and monitoring, delays in funding to mitigate immediate risk. So we see like that the barriers themselves were including different perspectives, because the community of practice, they came from different backgrounds. people care about water quality. While our perspective at the beginning that people care only about water quality, but no, they understand that the highest cost for maintaining such a technology. They understand that social acceptance is hard to achieve in their context. And for similarities, also when we were doing the workshops in Portugal, for example, we had the same kind of barriers. They expressed them with different words, but still the objective and the message is the same. That was in Comporta in Portugal and also in Netherlands. The barriers were always about regulation, water quality, acceptance, and economic barriers. But when we were doing the workshops with the committee of practice, we were trying to not only identify what could be a barrier, but what they see as an opportunity of what we are presenting, and what the project is trying to do. So we were trying to identify with them also what could be benefits. And from their perspective, that if you can tackle the barriers, you can manage to achieve strong benefits. For example, enhance water security and the availability of resources. This is especially in regions when they face drought and water scarcity. Improved water quality, great climate resilience. So, for example, by storing water during the wet periods and using it as an alternative resources during the droughts and extreme events. They also think about the protection and the restoration of ecosystem, supporting of circular water management. That's only from the water resilience and the water availability perspective, but also they admit that if we are tackling the barriers, we can achieve economic benefits that could include, for example, different sectors for agriculture, for industry, for the city, efficient infrastructure, and improved governance and risk management. The main message was that across all the three regions, MAR with alternative water resources are viewed as strategic solution that strengthen water security, environmental stability, economic resilience, and the climate adaptation. And with them, with the committee of practice, by defining what could be the barriers and what could be the potential benefits, we worked on a roadmap of what could be the strategies that can be implemented in each demo site. If we go like across case studies, so for each barrier, there were like a list of strategies. Of course, maybe we cannot implement all of that, but like we have a list of recommendations that can be by the end of project with pathways that could be implemented. These strategies are tackling regulation and governance barriers, financial and economic barriers, social acceptance and trust, capacity building and training. And also, not only that, but also the knowledge and uncertainty, the infrastructure and the technology, the risk management, the environmental protection. And all of that could be can be designed through pathway. So just now we are in the final stage of the workshops. Actually, part of them they took place in this month, and we were selecting also what could be like the main strategy. So not to overwhelm the stakeholders, the main strategy and who could be involved as a main actor, and what is the pathway to achieve this strategy and to implement it. Through all this process, we worked also with the stakeholders and the demo site on developing the IDST, the Integrated Decision Support Tool for MARCLAIMED. We did the first time was an exercise to highlight what could be the gaps and what are the needs of the stakeholders. And then we did capacity building exercises. This tool actually it include economic concepts. So for example, the tariff, the cost recovery, scenarios of projection of what could be benefits generated from MAR and alternative water resources. And in the tools, they can generate the scenarios and design by themselves what they see as a potential climate scenario or socioeconomic scenario. It includes also for each demo site, the water availability and the current baseline compare also to what could be in the future by projection of water scarcity. And within all the IDST, they could right now we have like stakeholders that they manage to use the IDST and understand the result coming from it. So to conclude this presentations, the process itself wasn't only to build the trust and acceptance. That was the main objective of what we were doing, but also to learn and to share lessons with for future projects. So if we go through the whole process, we learned that the technical solution alone is not sufficient. We need the trust of the community of practice. We need the strong social acceptance, and that should be translated to regulation and implementation. We see that also that the stakeholder co-design creates better solutions. We actually, as technical, we are approaching the stakeholders, we were thinking about different solutions because it's come from our perspective. We don't know the demo site. We don't know the demo site as they know it. But from their perspective, they know better what is the actual problem and what is the actual solution that could be implemented. We noticed that for alternative water resources, and this is very interesting, that the common lessons emerge across all demo sites. For all of them, it's water quality, economic perspective, regulation. This is what they need to see implemented to tackle the risk and generate the benefit and the opportunity. And then the co-design informed tool development, which is, I believe, like as a tool developer, I was one of the tool developer, and I learned from the stakeholders that as a tool developer, you started by implementing the model and the projection and the scenarios, and then you trust your tool. But then when you are with the stakeholders, you find yourself missing a lot of pieces that could enhance and improve the tool. And by that, I finish my presentation. Please, if there is any question, you are so welcome.
Thank you very much, Nordine, for this very insightful presentation. I find it very interesting how you emphasize the fact that stakeholder knowledge, involvement, and trust is key to all your co-design and co-creation processes. And I think it makes a perfect transition with one way to ensure this stakeholder engagement and dialogue for this AWR strategy development, which is serious gaming. And I will now leave the floor to Claire-Jeanne to present to us this tool developed by a very great project.
Yeah, I lost you for a second, but you can see my screen now, I think.
Perfect.
Good. Hey, yeah, thanks, Thelma, for the invitation to present on the serious gaming that we're doing within the Recreate project. This is still ongoing work because Recreate runs into next year, so it's a 4 years project. But I will update you on the type of work that we're doing and why we're doing it also. Now, this presentation is by me, but also by my colleague Seya Stoffberg, who is doing most of the work actually on this serious gaming. So she could not present today, so that's why I'm presenting. And why was serious gaming? Well, it is to facilitate stakeholder dialogue. And a lot on the case that I will talk about is about strategy development, which of course also is very important in the other sister projects. Okay, hey, I'll take you to North Holland, which is a province in the Netherlands at the North Sea coast, and which is bordered also by a very large freshwater lake in the east. And the water utility of North Holland, it's PWN. It has a system that is heavily dependent on the fresh water in the lake. That lake is supplied by a branch of the River Rhine, but it also borders the sea. There's a big dam there, but there are sluices there. There's the possibility of saline water from the sea getting into that lake. And well, PWN basically has been operating that system in this way for surface water, then very large managed aquifer recharge systems since the 1950s. And in the picture in the right, you see Andijk listed. That's one of the main intake points of PWN for surface water from that lake. And all along the coast on the west side, there are managed aquifer recharge systems. You see large pipelines depicted here, which are raw water pipelines, but also drinking water pipelines. And while the system has been functioning, it's kind of at the max of its capacity under the current situation. Now, what are the challenges here in North Holland? Well, basically two. One, an increase in population that we foresee from 1.7 customers for PWN right now to over 2 million in the coming decades. And of course, there's climate change. And especially the climate change here will affect the intake point, and especially the chances of saline water getting near to that intake point during low flows of the River Rhine. And then you have just a higher chance of seawater entering the lake. So what effectively does that mean for PWN? Well, an increased water demands to about 130 billion liters per year from 110 right now. And well, additional stress on the water resources, also the dune systems, which are under managed aquifer recharge. And like I said, that system, it's at its max of its capacity. And that's why PWN is looking for other options, including alternative water resources. So what the goal is of this case study in Recreate is to have this framework in place to support PWN in the strategic thinking and action, and basically to assist them in their long-term investment planning for alternative water resources. And alternative water resources that are on the table are aquifer storage and recovery, managed aquifer recharge, brackish groundwater use, water reuse, so indirect or direct potable reuse, and creating extra buffers in the system. Now we have three tracks that we're following. One is in adaptation pathways. That's basically where we model the whole system of PWN such that we can use demand and climate scenarios and see where we could upgrade the system using alternative water resources. We'll do joint strategy development for regional water supply jointly with all stakeholders. That's actually for next year, so the final year when we've done both track 1 and 2. And track 2 is serious gaming for stakeholder engagement, and that's what I'm talking about today. Now, why do we go into serious gaming? Well, for a couple of reasons. Well, one, water systems are very complex. Perhaps a drinking water system, well, it's a large system, perhaps not that so complex, but as long as you go into the natural system, hydrology, surface water, groundwater, if you want to use reuse water, you get into the sewage system. So all these systems are connected and they are complex. And overseeing all effects of proposed interventions, like incorporating alternative water resources, is difficult, if not impossible. I know we have a high belief in models, but they are always a simplification of reality. And overseeing everything is difficult. And this accounts for us as water professionals, but even more so for decision makers. Now, a second reason to go into serious gaming is that we tend to focus on our own interest for good reasons, or for obvious reasons, and often lack a true understanding of the interest of other stakeholders, which actually is very important in regional water management and regional water supply management, as you have to take decisions jointly. And it's good to realize there's no such thing as an optimal solution, not for drinking water, not for agriculture, not for nature. We have some tough choices to make. And going solo is really a dead-end street. So water challenges require integrated solutions and, well, basically taken jointly with all stakeholders involved. And serious gaming then, well, it makes it possible to live through all these challenges and fully experience this. And it creates some system insights, it creates awareness, and it creates understanding among stakeholders. And if you want to cooperate, that requires trust, but it makes possible to choose more long-term and constructive options in the long term. So what are we building? Well, this is what we're working towards. This was at one of the Recreate General Assemblies where we played a serious game that is already in existence, but with different purposes, but also on water. And we played that with the whole group. So this was a game developed. It's called Aqualudens. Was developed for the Netherlands with different water questions there, and we just loved playing that with also Spanish and Greek colleagues, putting in a bit of temperament in the discussions there. But basically, what we do with the game is that we have stakeholder groups, and you never get the role of your natural role. So if you're playing with a government, they will not be assigned the role of a government. If you're playing with farmers, they will take, for example, the role of a water utility, etc. And we play this game in multiple rounds where we have a game board. We have objectives for the different stakeholders. They have interventions that they can play, like putting in alternative water resources. We run a model. They see the consequences of their choices, whether it helps, but also the adverse consequences or how that propagates or may affect objectives or stakes of other stakeholders. And that is how we play that game in multiple rounds. Now, building from this existing game, we've developed a game structure within Recreate. And basically it looks like this. We're developing it right now. So there's a system overview. Okay, what is your whole system that you're looking at? It's not just drinking water, but also the surface water system, the groundwater system, they're all connected, the sewage. We have a dashboard which gives you some indicators for different stakeholders, how they are doing. So for example, farmers, how is their crop yield? For a drinking water utility, can they meet demands? For a province, what about economic development? So all different types of indicators in that dashboard. Well, then, like I said, we have different stakeholders playing and different stakeholders that can play interventions. Sometimes they can just decide, sometimes they have to get in dialogue. Okay, which interventions will we play? Basically, how it goes in a political situation as well. And then on the right, you see the external developments, because we kind of like to put the pressure on in this game. For example, climate change hitting in, or a governmental change hitting in, new administration with different objectives than the current. So we as game facilitators, moderators can tweak the game there. And all below is a water system model, which is a model that we're programming that at high level describes the system that we're modeling, both surface water, groundwater, utilities, drinking water. And really, if you play interventions, you run the model and you see also the consequences of your interventions. That's what the game is kind of set up for. But I'd like to emphasize that we're designing the game together with the stakeholders. So we apply design thinking with the community of practice there. Basically going through what we like to call the two diamonds, going to the problem space, such that we get a common understanding of what the actual problems are, because there may be different views on that from different stakeholders. And of course, the game playing is a lot about exploring the solution space. What do you want to do? Which alternative water resources do you want to apply? Where do you want to apply them? Or do you want to perhaps go for decreasing the demand of water pricing? And so basically, building this game and getting all the ingredients is something we do in steps, going through these problem spaces in various sessions with the community of practice. So we've done that, or we're in the process of that. For example, like collecting ingredients for the games, what system, what are the challenges in that system, what are developments, what stakeholders are important, what kind of gameplay and what storyline do we want to have in that game. We've come to conceptual models of the systems that we're modeling. So here you see a conceptual model for the North Holland system. So very much simpler than the total system, but it grabs the main components of that system. We're building on the digital model, really, so that can model everything which is behind the scene and which eventually gives us the indicators that are in the dashboard. But it can model surface water levels. It can model whether we meet drinking water demands, etc. It's modeled in Python. And of course, we have the indicators in the game dashboard, which, for example, gives you agricultural yield, which is important for a farmer, or which gives you something about surface water quality, which may be important for a water authority. Drinking water, can we meet drinking water demands? All these types of indicators. And of course, every stakeholder has its own, objective. A farmer, of course, is interested in its yield. A drinking water utility has to deliver water 24/7 and all year through. What we're doing now is developing the gameplay, both for a North Holland game and a Mediterranean game. And of course, there are also differences in the type of stakeholders, also in politics. North Holland, very a polar model for the decision making, we like to call it. A lot of negotiations, a lot of trying to make decisions together. High spatial pressure is important, and we tend to avoid tough choices. You go to the Mediterranean, these are very strong challenges, limited resources, both water and finances often, and the stakes are much higher. And currently we are with those two groups, so we're developing two games, one for North Holland, one for the Mediterranean, or two versions, I should say. And we're working on the game narratives. There are many trade-offs. It's impossible to have it all. Self-interest may be understandable from each other's perspective. Conflict behavior may arise, but conflict behavior has often adverse consequences. And cooperation requires trust. And like I said at the beginning, playing this game lets participants, experience the narrative, multiple game rounds, and in that way, learn about the system, learn about other stakeholders, and create understanding and perhaps also a bit of trust. That's what we're doing right now. This is what we'll hopefully be doing next year. 2027 is game time, where we will play the game, of course, within the project, but also with the regional stakeholders in the North Holland and in the Mediterranean, to facilitate really stakeholder understanding and dialogue. And with that, I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Klaus-Jan, for this precious presentation. I think we will all be eager to learn from your first results within the Recreate project. I noticed that obviously the dialogue is at heart for your serious gaming and at heart also of the engagement of stakeholders for designing strong models, and also in the end to integrate alternative water resources into governance models and governance process. So I think we will keep on going with the dialogue phase by switching to the presentation of Sofia Perez and Lou de la Derrière on integrating AWR in the governance process through political dialogue.
Thank you, Thelma. I'm going to share a document. Is it visible to everyone? Can you hear me?
Yes, it's not full screen, but we can see it.
Okay, sorry. Is it better?
Perfect.
Okay, great. Sorry, I can't put it. Maybe it will work like that. So thank you again, Thelma, for this invitation. And here I am. I'm Sofia Perez. I'm going to present with my colleague Lou de la Derrière. We make part of this award project that was already introduced by Sadika. Thank you. We're going to talk about how to integrate in AWR in the governance process through political dialogue. It's the last part of the work we are doing with this project. So in our work as VP3, we work with 4 demo cases that Sadika has already explained with Bucharest, Milan, Santiago de Compostela, and Cyprus. The originality of this approach lies in developing scenarios to link water supply, alternative water resources solutions, and local development. In territorial planning, for example, these scenarios can be integrated into urbanism, land use planning, and some other perspectives. And during the first part of the project, we were undertaking to understand, first of all, the current situation through the identification of some approaches, like the construction of the common problem, the scientific expert approach to understand the hydro system of the the governance process of each demo case, and a vulnerability assessment.
So sorry, Sophia, you're not full screen in your presentation. Could you try to put it full screen?
I cannot full screen.
Okay. Do you want me to share it? So we are sure to make it full screen so everyone can see in detail, because it's a bit hard to read. If you want, I can present and you say slides and I switch to the next one.
I prefer to keep it like that, if it's okay.
Okay.
Thank you. So this is the first scheme to explain a little bit of our approach, divided in 3 steps. These 3 steps are mainly the diagnosis of and multi-scale territorial analysis for these 4 demo cases, the co-construction and validation of the scenarios with partners, and the scenario evaluation, because even fort-size analysis is helpful to visualize possible AWR scenarios for the future, but the core of our approach is to embrace this complexity of this territorial diversity, going beyond the technical solution proposed and to work from the bottom, from the field, and with the field, in this case, the demo case cities, but in a multi-scale and multi-actor perspective, using the DST award platform as a tool which provides these main steps. So the idea is to go outside the box of this local application scale of the solution and the local understanding of the stakeholders at the beginning unknown, but our partners, and trying to enlarge it to some other actors of the territory. For these 3 steps, we have some objectives that I already explained, but the core of it is the work in collaboration with the partners, but also with the stakeholders. And how to improve the government process for the AWR through this political dialogue. We will use the example that we have already developed for the replication of our approach, and we understand it as a circle that has to open up from the bottom. And one of the challenges of our work package is to understand the particularities of each demo case and integrating alternative water resources solutions, considering their territorial context, political scale, analysis, in order to assess in the best way possible. After some research field and conducting interviews with the stakeholders and local actors, we realized that one of the first barriers was the local knowledge and understanding of these alternative water resources, and also what the general water cycle was. In each territory has its own way to interpret the challenges of climate change and how these resources of water could have built resilience from their local context. So what I mean to explain is each local demo case had a different understanding of the situation. So the stakeholders related to water resources, for instance, they had shown high level of knowledge regarding the hydro system, and the regulation of the local context, but the local communities, that they are the ones who interact with alternative solutions, alternative water resources solutions in the everyday life basis, not that much. Sometimes they ask some questions like where does potable water come from? What are the benefits of the AWR? How does the nature-based solution works? And how can we use the resource produced? Or what is the quality of treated wastewater? Is it good enough? So then we realized we really had to work in collaboration with the stakeholders and other actors of this territory. Now I'm going to leave the place to Lou, my colleague.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Sophia. Thank you, Telma. And also thank you for the previous presentation. It was very interesting, and I think it introduced a lot of elements also. So just to follow and from what it was being said already, just in this picture and the different demo cases, we observe that there is a great diversity of territories, of scales, of alternative water resources techniques and relation to water resources, how to govern it, and the diversity of stakeholders in the public and private at the different level are very diverse, and they have different objective, different type of relation to water, and different also knowledge. Very different from agriculture and hostel resorts, very different from a local to regional institutions.
Sorry.
Don't worry. So it was important, as Sophia said, to do interview in the first time, to do a diagnosis, perfect. I hope everybody has a good view on the screen. Sorry.
Yes, but we can see the next slide and add
Yeah.
notes parts. Maybe it was better the previous
Sophia, yeah,
presentation.
it was. I think Sophia, it was better before.
Yeah.
Don't worry. No, perfect. And so it was important for the interviews, but it was also important, as Sophia said, for the scenario building and the co-construction with the partners and after the evaluation with the stakeholders. So we can go on the next slide, please. So it was important to involve them in the process for the interview and for the construction of the scenario and to realize a certain number of workshops in each demo cases that represent the diversity of stakeholders. So this is an important issue to do it, and it was essential to do it with the partners at each demo cases level, that they are strategic for the building scenario and for organizing the workshop and to also the network mapping, stakeholders involvement, etc., etc. Their knowledge, we can go on the next slide. We're important to understand what will happen if we are doing as today. So to construct a different type of scenario. So we were constructing three type of scenario. The business as usual. If we just continue. The one if we meet the regulatory targets. And the other one, if we integrate alternative water resources in the different territory. So it was our guideline to start discussing and constructing the scenario. And the construction of the scenario was like a certain some narrative as a baseline and also a certain number of action. We can go on the other slide. It was also based on the knowledge and capacity, technical capacity of modeling of our partners. So it's taking into account political, economical, social aspect, but also the technical modeling capacity of the partners. Here you have an example in Bucharest, the work has been done. So after we co-constructed some scenario, the partners developed some modeling studies that was very relevant also to inform during workshops the stakeholders and to help their capacity also to make the judgment. So it makes some parallel with the other presentation that has been done before. We can move to the other slide, please. So the scenario involves a certain number of actions. Here, just an example and a summary that the implementation of alternative water resources involve action at local level, at the neighbor and the municipality level, and also to national scale, etc. It goes from constructing NBS to preserve public space, for example, also increase the authorization process to construct NBS, and also promote interministerial collaboration outside the silo, etc. So it goes with other type of recommendation, and this work was also important on the deliberation metrics to use on the platform. We can go on other slides. And to organize the evaluation on the other slide, we use during the paper some table to evaluate each scenario regarding 5 governance issues. So to go beyond the technical, what the other important issues are. So it's the integration and the water cycle and the integration of alternative water resources. It's also the environmental performance and the ecological systems. It's how each scenario can bring some knowledge or not related to alternative water resources, how the institutional framework and the political dimensions are quite important, and how we can judge their performance regarding the 3 scenario, and the financial and economical aspects. So during the workshops, the participants were invited to take a collective decision regarding each scenario, regarding the issues, to go beyond just the technique. And we can go on the other one. So this is just an example, for example, of what different groups were writing regarding an issue for the scenario. So you have different type of evaluation. It's a decision and they have to argue and to give some example. And so it's quite interesting to assist during the discussion. It's very lively. It depends on the group. It's very important also to do heterogeneous group. And this is based also with the work of the stakeholder of the partners on each demo cases to organize the quality of the discussion. And then we can move on the other slide.
We're in the last part of this analysis. We're currently analyzing all the outcomes of the scenario evaluation in each workshop that was made recently during the month of May and June. In 4 demo cases, we went on the site and conducted ourselves in collaboration with partners, of course, and we are integrating the results of the comments of every analysis of the governance issues connected with the policy recommendations that we already received from our partners of BP2 and connected well with the previous work we have done in the other last 2 years, precedent years, regarding the heritage approach and the vulnerabilities that we identify. So we will soon, at the end of the year, we'll have some more results to share. So now we're going to talk about some learnings about our process of research. And these are just some main barriers we identified during these 2 years, during research for alternative water resources, and some recommendations. So for instance, we have the first barrier we met was this distance in between soft science and hard science and the interdisciplinarity collaboration. It was really hard to put in place at the beginning, but with time we managed to work together and to share information. The data sharing was also a barrier, but now we have overcome, but it was something to put in place, and we realized in the column of the recommendations that these were some of the things we should have prepared at the beginning of the project in the first steps. Lou, if you want to comment some of this information also.
Yeah, as you see, there are very type of different challenge for this methodology in a world or in other project when you are involving different disciplines. Of course, there is the different type of knowledge and vocabulary, different methodology, Also, the time scale of the project and the stakeholders' engagement is a big issue. In this, perhaps it's a part of the discussion we can also have, how the stakeholders in the different projects on those 2 or 3 or 4 years, how you keep them in relation. So this is a big issue, and I would be happy to learn more from the other. How you build the trust, how it's fragile, and how it's important also these type of activities for the project and but for also networking. So there are many type of challenges for the research, and also there's some few recommendation we have, but I think we can have also the discussion with other, and yeah, thank you very much.